In the Bangladesh village of Madhukhali, located to the west of capital Dhaka, FIFA World Cup billboards lined the streets as residents awaited for the opening of the sports extravaganza. For many of them who had worked as migrant workers in host country Qatar, this is a World Cup fever like no other. As part of the construction crew who built the stadiums in the Middle Eastern nation, their anticipation was topped with pride and happiness. I was working in Qatar for 4 years. Now I am on leave back in my village for 4 months. Now I will watch the FIFA World Cup matches with great happiness, of course. If I could be there, Qatar, that is, I would feel even better. Migrant worker Amirul Hossein said in an interview. The 2022 World Cup has been dogged by controversy since Qatar was announced as the first Middle Eastern nation and Gulf absolute monarchy to host it. The wealthy gas-producing country is home to 2.9 million people, the vast majority of whom are foreign workers, ranging from low-income construction workers to high-powered executives. Rights groups have accused authorities of failing to protect lower-income workers, including those who built the stadiums and hotels to host World Cup fans, from overwork, underpaid wages, and unpaid wages and poor living conditions. The Qatari government says it has enacted labor reforms, including a minimum monthly wage of 1,000 Qatari riyals, or about $275, more than many can earn back home. This particular issue has plagued the Qatari government ever since the situation became clear that migrant workers were being denied basic rights, being unpaid, and even numbers going upwards of 6,000 have been reported to have died during construction, all of which the Qatari government has been accused of trying to keep quiet. Meanwhile, 20,000 candles flickered in the stands of a German football stadium on Sunday, November 20th, as part of a protest against Qatar's hosting of the World Cup. Truth be told, Gbenga, I feel that this situation as much as FIFA, as much as Gianni Infantino wants to avoid discussing this very delicate issue. You know, I wonder if this will factor in going forward to their calculus, their considerations about what kind of nation ends up hosting the World Cup. With all of this talk about Qatar's human rights records, with all of the talk about the issues with the migrant workers, over 6,000 have been reported to have died. The numbers aren't quite clear. Do you think, going forward, FIFA will take this more into consideration? It will play a bigger role, a bigger factor in how they decide who gets to host it? Or does the simple consideration about who has the most resources to afford to host, will it play the main factor still going forward?
Well, I think this adage will come into play. Results terminates insults. I think a successful tournament in Qatar will just terminate all these insults for Qatar. And I don't say that by tarnishing the reports from those concerned or victims or trying to alleviate Qatar of all issues. But I'm trying to say how many people were aware of the human rights issues in Qatar before the World Cup was announced in Qatar. So for on the flip side, we could say taking the World Cup to Qatar shone more light on the issues surrounding the human rights activist or activism. The global attention is now on Qatar. People are talking. What would these people want before? Their message to be heard. And the fact that the World Cup was brought to their country brought the attention they needed. I feel like instead of trying to bastardize the game of football, which has nothing to do with the political issues, why not use football as a means to pass your message to the appropriate quarters? Why try to discourage the attempt to take football all over the world. It's still the World Cup, regardless of individual sentiments, individual biases. It's still the World Cup. You listen to the press conference by the president. He was even taunting that it could be taken to Iran in subsequent years. So it's the World Cup, regardless of how we feel about it. I feel like instead of attacking the game, use the attention the game brings to the country to pass your message and allow the competition.
Well.